Hey YouTube, ready for a poorly researched Jackson video? I got this in from my pal. The tone control was snapped off, and the jack up was listed easy at the earth wire in the back. So it wasn't exactly a big job for me. I wanted to do it this afternoon so I could put a video out today. I never got a video out yesterday because I was at my pal Ali's house, who's the drummer in the band I'm in, Cranking House, and one of his pals, this dude here, Dolly. What a great guy, brilliant, totally living the dream. That's not a wig, you know, he's got like a crazy 80s blonde sort of, Duff McKagan haircut, and he was wearing snakeskin cowboy boots, just like that. Fucking rock and roll, man. Yeah, so I did record videos on the GoPro, but I'm going to try and find a snippet for like 5 minutes where I'm not really making as much, we're not making tons of mistakes, to try and put a video up of it. I think we're called the band Barn Jam or something like that. Just a one-off. No rehearsal. Just went in and just played. Great fun. It's so good to be playing music again. And when we were doing the social distancing thing. We are 2 meters apart the whole time. You know, it was like we're taking turns to go to the door. You know, it's like when we're going out, we're staying 2 meters apart. But it was just nice to make noise again. So the first 15 minutes was just like, you know, getting back to being at volume. Can't wait to get back into the studio with the Cranking House and after the end. It'll be amazing. But anyway, back to this guitar. So I'm not exactly sure what a performer series is. It could be a Japanese one. The owner said something about it being Japanese. Doesn't say made in Japan on it, but I don't think necessarily all guitars did back at that point, especially something like a Jackson, because if you put made in Japan on it, people don't think it's an American one. So there's your reason for not putting made in Japan on a guitar, because people go, oh, I've got an American Jackson. It doesn't say American on it either. Serial number starts 96, so I'm thinking 1996. And Japanese, I think, but I'm not sure. So angled back headstock, good tuners. I don't know what you would call them. The modern type of tuners. The neck is quite wide, or it feels dead wide. But I know from experience, like from if you actually measure these necks, you know, a thick neck's only like 1 or 2 millimeter wider than an average one, which is like 1 or 2 millimeters wider than a really, really thin one. So it's like, you know, there's a couple of millimeters here different, but it seems to be very flat and very wide, and the neck itself is very shallow this way. So I don't know what sort of profile you would call that, a sort of shredder's profile. I've actually got a Charvel neck, which is a similar sort of thing. Maybe that was a Jackson Charvel thing. Original pickups, Jackson branded. I'm not sure about the Floyd Rose. It doesn't say Jackson on it, and it also looks a bit too new. It's like a black one. I think this might be like a modern Chinese one. Not really sure. 2 volumes, pickup switch and a tone control that's now there as opposed to not being there. The owner plays this guitar plays it in a ska band, hence the checker plate sticker on the scratch plate. Yes, this is the same guy who traded that Yamaha for the camouflage Dean ML, and he was going to use that in the ska band. So I mean, his ska band must pure love him, turning up with the most inappropriate guitars. It's like this does not scream ska to me, but I think he takes a sort of perverse pleasure out of it, which I understand. I love playing, you know, like proper heavy metal on a Telecaster just because it seems wrong. Like, yeah, I don't take no rules. You know what I mean? It's like do whatever I want. But it seems like a really nice guitar. I'm not a fan of the shape. I think this strap could do with being a little bit longer, but it's mine, and I put a safety pin through it. I can't bother taking it to bits, so ideally it would be a wee bit lower than this. But it plays really well. I mean, I can't really argue with how it plays. It also feels quite good. I'm not so sure it looks good. I think maybe if you're like a fatty like me, a wee guitar makes you look bigger. So it's like maybe if you're, I think Randy Rhoads is about 5 foot nothing, you can lift him in one hand. So that's possibly why he would want such a small guitar. But it always looks funny when you see, not that I'm saying I'm muscly, but you sometimes see like heavy metal bands from the sort of late 80s, 90s where there's like a big muscly guy and he's playing a wee guitar like this, and it just looks like at any minute he's just going to go snap it in half. So aside from shape, I think it's fantastic. the guy was saying, oh, it's got a great clean sound, so I'm going to give it a wee go on a clean sound before I go into the rat pedal, because for me this is just it should be for rock, metal, but for ska I suppose, maybe that's why the clean sound's good. Just playing through my wee Laney, which is plugged into that 3x12, no pedals on. There's both pickups on. Neck pickup. Bridge pickup. Yeah, so it sounds pretty good clean, especially for humbuckers. That's quite a, with both of them on, and because you've got a volume control for each one, you can maybe. So I'll have a wee jam it. I'm going to play on rat pedal, and I'm going to just throw the copyright thing out the window. I don't know. This is actually my second attempt at the video. I don't think I got one word right. No, I got the opening 2 words right, and then the rest was just meh. So I'm just going to have a check. Oh, Mr. Crowley, or in that key, Mr. Crowley, you can talk to the dead. Mr. Crowley, it's symbolically said. Your lifestyle to me seems so tragic. The Satan's come. You're drilling the people with magic, and then with your back to the wall. Yeah, Gigi had the back of him. Gotta get it right once. took it up another bit. Anyway, the problem what I did there, which I don't normally do, is I normally put the backing track in live. Another thing that's quite annoying is the volume control. This is for the neck and this is for the bridge. Not annoying, it makes logical sense, but I'm just not used to it. Aye, so normally I put the backing track in and then just play fresh, whereas what I did there was I was thinking, oh, can I still play Mr. Crowley? So I stuck my backing track on it, played along with it for 10 minutes, then hit record in the video. So, and what I was playing there was nothing like as good as I was playing the first 10 minutes. I really need to shock myself into some of these things. I was kind of nailing quite a lot of it. I was even doing the bit that goes to that bit as well, which I can't remember what it was I was doing. So lesson learned there. I will always put the backing track in live so that I've not practiced, and then I've got more chance of getting some of it right, I think. So, Jackson Performer Series. Interesting. I don't think these are cheap anymore. I was talking to my pal David the other night. He was saying, I just should buy one of those the Japanese, Randy Rhoads ones. They can be picked up cheap. And I think it was more on the lines of 10 years ago, maybe he was looking at the start, or 10 years ago on eBay, maybe they were cheap. I don't think you get them cheap anymore. But awesome guitar, very light for stage. Comfort wise, the shape's great. I think maybe even if it was a wee bit, as I said, if I put a lower strap on it, it's probably got that thing where you can maybe stick it on your leg a bit, although you wouldn't be able to use this jack. If you had an L-shaped jack, flying V style, you could sit it on your thigh, but and it plays amazingly, just if you like the look of it. And for me, I don't know, just in the 10 minutes I've been doing this video, obviously I'm looking at myself in the laptop screen below there, and it does look quite cool. Maybe I've just got to get used to looking at it. I think what I should do is I should hang it up on the wall here, so I'm looking at it for a couple of days, and then I'll probably grow to the shape. That happens with a lot of guitars for me. You get really, really odd looking ones, and I remember seeing them at first and thinking, my God, that's a really strange looking, out of proportion looking guitar, and then a week later it's like, oh, it's brilliant. And I remember thinking they look really odd, but not seeing why it looks really odd anymore. You just get used to it. But I'm much more a flying V, like a standard shape flying V rather than a pointy one type person. But it depends what you're listening to. I do love Randy Rhoads. Obviously his work on the first two Aussie albums is amazing, but I wouldn't put myself down as a pure Rhoads fiend. Partly because it's dead hard, I can't really play any of it. Although I'd have noticed that there's quite a lot of bits that I've sort of stolen the principle of for when I'm just messing about on my own. Like it's like, where the not them saying the notes are the same or they're anything like as fast, but a similar sort of idea where it kind of fades off. It's dead hard to describe what it is. I'm sure it's got musical notation. It's probably called legato or something. Don't know, but I kind of do that sort of that kind of going right down with diddles. I do have stolen that a bit. I think there was a point where I could sort of play Mr. Crowley, like a few of the bits. Some of the bits, that main bit, which I'll be able to play now, hopefully, because I don't have the backing track on. Why did I not do that when I had the backing track on? For some reason when the backing track went on, it just went away. But that's a cool thing to learn. I've stolen that. There's not really much you can do with it, but having that to always go back to whenever you get lost so that people remember you're playing Mr. Crowley is probably quite a good idea. I didn't know anything about Aleister Crowley. It was the drummer, and after the end, the Black Sabbath band, read a book and stuff like that. He's a mad Sabbath freak, which is great. That's why I got on so well with him. It's like, we can just talk about the most obscure Sabbath tracks, and he knows exactly which ones in the studio. It was great fun. But he went to Mr. Crowley's house. I think so. Was it up at Loch Ness or somewhere around about there? He said the place was spooky, and he was telling me stories about he would burn people alive and just create crazy stuff. He'd just go absolute lunatic. So the whole idea of the Mr. Crowley song, I know it from the song. Also, I think Jimmy Page not used to live in his house, maybe. But I think this guy was an absolute nutter, so I can't really judge anything on him and whether it was a good idea writing a song called Mr. Crowley. But it's got an amazing keyboard intro on it as well. The song, obviously you'll know it. Yeah, so enough jibber jabber. Jackson also bought on neck, I don't think I mentioned that. So I'm going to take this one didn't have strap buttons in it, so I've borrowed the strap buttons out of one of my guitars. So I'm going to put this. I wanted it for the video, so I'm going to put these strap buttons back on my guitar. The guy says he's got them. They're sitting on his coffee table like that. Right. So I need them for the video because I'm not playing sitting down. Especially with the jack socket. It's like there's always a problem with Flying V's about where to put the jack socket on it, because if you put it in the front, which is where I think mine is, it means that when you've got the strap coming over, with the lead coming over where the strap is, like so it doesn't get pulled out, you end up with, you've got your V, but you've got a lead kind of, it's got to transverse that, and if you put it anywhere along this edge, it means you can't balance the guitar on your leg. And even if it was a right-handed jack socket, you don't want to be balancing the guitar on that while you're playing it on stage. So it's a tough one. I do have one guitar that's sort of this shape. It's an ESP Arrow, which I made to look a bit like a baby metal. I played with Rob Halford at one point. The two, Yui and Moa Metal, came out and played these wee mini Jackson Arrow guitars, so I made one of them. And I put the jack socket here on like a Strat jack socket, the one that's kind of, you can't see it in that one. It's like surface mounted in there, so the lead came out that way. So when you had the strap on, the lead went straight around the strap, which meant you could balance it on your leg, which was actually dead annoying and hard to do. I wish I hadn't thought of it, because I never played that guitar. Actually, it's sitting in bits. I need to put it back together again. When I got it, it had a gold trem on it, and I wanted the whole guitar had to be black. So I put a Goto Floyd Rose in it, and the particular Goto Floyd Rose was like 10mm. The block was 10mm sticking out the back of the body, which was that might just be a thing with Goto Floyd Roses. And Goto, did I say Goto? I think I meant Schaller. So what happened was, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I got a Washburn Wing Series, which had a broken, or a shite Floyd Rose in it. I put that in, and because it was thicker, it fitted in it, and I've never actually bothered putting a Floyd back on my ESP Baby Metal. I need to look it out though. Not similar to, well, similar to this from an outside. And obviously you're just going to look at it, well, that's nothing like it. It's got like an extra scoop here, and it's maybe a bit pointier. I can't remember. But rocking guitars. This isn't the one. The one I'm really looking forward to is off the same guys, a Jackson Warrior, which looks fantastic. Which I would have done today, but I wanted to, because it's only needed a tone control. I think I can do that, do a video of it, and then do the Jackson Warrior. So tomorrow is Monday, so that will probably be Telly Tuesday. So maybe Wednesday or Thursday I will do a video for the Jackson Warrior and put pickups in it and a couple of switches and stuff. It's a crazy shape, which I like the look of. Regardless of, does it have strings on it? I've not played a note on it. It doesn't have pickups in it just now. But regardless, I like it better than this just because of the shape. But if the shape's your thing, good guitar. I would maybe be tempted to try one before you bought it on the internet, just in case you don't like the really wide and flat neck. But one of my pals is mad into it. Is that he'll only take a very specific neck. He doesn't like most necks, and it's like I kind of, because I've got so many guitars, I kind of like them when they're a bit strange. For me, this is like pure, this is great because it's wide and flat. I don't have any other wide and flat ones, so it's like, or a baseball bat one or whatever. It's like I just play to it. There's not really any I don't like. Even my pal's one, who's got as I said, he's got the Kelly, which he bought in America in about 98, something like that. So it might be a performance, can't remember, with its really sort of wide classical guitar neck. It feels really weird and wrong, but you still play it. It plays amazing. It's just like your initial response is, this isn't the neck I was expecting. I was expecting this neck, not the one he's got. But lovely guitar. Could do with some new strings. I spent ages. So I was sitting there trying to tune it with these wee stupid tuners because it was out of tune when I got it. I was like, because you can get at the electrics. I was like, no, I'm not taking the strings off if I don't have to. I was sitting there, tuning it with the fine tuners, and I realised that up at the top, the locking bolts, there's no wee blocks behind them, so I can just use the normal tuners. That saved me some time. Rock on!